Yes, so a couple of weeks ago, I had one of those vinyl experiences that we all hanker after, and which actually rarely happen to me anyway. I went into town to take my younger son for his haircut, and the place where he has his haircut is like it's a stone's throw from Dalton Square, which is where I go to get vinyl on a Saturday morning from the Heightside Record guys down there. Now, I'd made a pact with myself that I wasn't going to go down. I wasn't going to go and buy some records. I was just going to take my son to the hairdressers and then go home again. But I had some credit with them. This is the issue. I had about £28 of credit with the Heightside guys. And just getting a message from Sean here. Let's see what he has to say. Oh, that's okay, Sean. Yes, I'll do that. I had some credit with the Heightside guys to the tune of about £28, and I'd had this credit for quite a long time. So I thought to myself, I need to go down there really and clear the credit, get some stuff. So my son is nearly 12, so he's old enough to be left alone in the chair. So I left him and said I'll be back in 5 minutes. Went down to Heightside Records. Sure enough, I found some records easily, to clear my backlog of credit. Took them back to the hairdressers, where the hairdresser had nearly finished cutting my son's hair. And I sat down and I was going through these records, as you do, just looking through them. And the hairdresser's mother, who shares the salon with him, she was busy doing a perm. She was doing a kind of blow dry perm thing with a lady in the corner. And she looked over and she saw that I had these records. And she said, "Oh, are you into records then?" So I kind of said, yes. And she said, "What type of music do you like?" And I kind of said, this and that. I was a bit non-committal. And she said, "Oh, I've got a bag of records upstairs that you can have if you want." Now, I'm sure we've all had this experience before when people say to us, "I've got a big bag of records, you can have them if you want." The first thought that runs through your mind is like a sort of twin thing. First of all, you think to yourself, it's probably just going to be a load of old crap. But then there's this other voice which immediately says, yeah, but it could be something really good. So I kind of said to her, I tried to play it cool. I said, "What kind of stuff is in the bag?" And she said, "Oh, it's not the kind of stuff that I like. It's not really my kind of music. There's a Bauhaus record in there and a couple of other things." And I was like, what? Bauhaus. I was thinking, bloody hell. Well, I don't know much about Bauhaus, but I know that they're quite a collectible band, So I kind of was like, right, yes, please. I would like to see this bag of records. So she went upstairs, or she sent her son upstairs because he'd finished doing his my son's hair at this point. He came downstairs with a bag of records, and I could see through the bag. I could see a David Bowie record immediately through the thing of the bag. So I was fairly excited. I paid for the haircut, and yes, Martin, in that situation, always best to say, yeah, I like everything. It's true, yeah. So I took the bag out of the shop, and we walked back along the road, and I couldn't wait to get back to the car. I was about 5 minutes drive away from the car to take us home, and I said to my son, "Do you mind if we just stop on the street corner for a minute? Because I just want to look through this bag of records." I should just say now, I offered I offered to pay the lady some money. I didn't know what was in the bag, but I kind of said, "Do you want some money for these?" And she said, "Oh, no, that's absolutely fine." She said, "In fact, I've got a second bag of records upstairs, which next time you come, I'll give you those as well." So she was quite keen to get shot of these things. Anyway, so I stopped on the street corner and I started to go through the bag, and it was immediately, well, not immediately evident. There was a couple of records in the front of the bag, which were your classic kind of charity shop, staple things. But only 3 records in, I was like, right, okay, this is actually pretty good. This is a fairly exciting thing to have happened. But it was so funny because I took the records out of the the sleeves, because the first thing that you do is check the condition. And what do you think they were coated in? Best guess. I got them from a hairdresser's. Yes, they were covered. They were absolutely covered in hair. I've never seen a pile of records more covered in human hair before in my life. There was so much hair and grime on them, I couldn't see what condition they were in. So I said to my son, right, let's just get home. We got home. I got them in the cleaner. Most of them came up pretty good. They're not all fantastic, but I've played through them all, and they're all easily listenable. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll go through the bag with you. I have taken them out of the bag, obviously, you know, I've cleaned them. I'll go through and I'll just show you what was in the bag. And I've got them in a rough order. There was quite a lot of David Bowie. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to save the Bowie records till the second half of the video. So if you're not into David Bowie, then you can tune out in the second half. Are there any people who are not into David Bowie? I've not met one yet. So the first stack of records are non-Bowie, and then we'll move on to the Bowie. Now we'll start with the 45s. So the first 45 is this one. This is Bauhaus. And their version of Telegram Sam. Like I said, I know nothing about Bauhaus really, other than I know the period that they're from. I think I've heard some of their music, but I'm not really up on them at all. And that one's on 4AD. I saw Richard McCook show this recently. He was doing a video, some kind of Mark Bolan video, I think, and he showed this 1980 on Beggar's Banquet. Bauhaus. Sean says, "Ooh, I know. I mean, it's just the last thing you expect, isn't it? When you get a bag of records off your son's hairdresser's mother, you don't really expect an original Bauhaus 45 to be in the bag, but it was in there. So there's that one. Next 45, and I was really chuffed with this one because this is a classic record, and I've never owned a copy of it, and I've never seen a copy of it, but it is Warm Leatherette by The Normal. Rough trade distribution on Meat Records, of course. And this is just kind of known as being one of those great, I don't know, how would you describe it, kind of post-punk records. It's you know, it's got a bit of a history to it, a bit of a J.G. Ballard thing going on, you know, just, again, something that you wouldn't expect to find in a bag of free records. So very chuffed to get that one. John Coltrane is starting to get a little bit, I need to turn him down. Oh, I should have shown this after the first Bauhaus one, because this is another Bauhaus record. Don't even know what this one's called. This one is called, no, is this the B-side or the A-side? Scopes, Terror Couple, Kill, Colonel. Terror Couple, Kill, Colonel. Same on both sides. I don't know much about Bauhaus. So yeah, those are the 345s. So let's get into the records now. So the first couple of things in the pile, or the first few things in the pile, are fairly bog standard, but they're still kind of good. You know, they're not just. I have taken the stuff back. Well, I took the stuff to the, you know, to Oxfam. The stuff that was real, kind of bog standard charity shop fare. So the stuff that's left in the bag is kind of interesting records, but the first few are not like, you know, amazing, but they are good things to have. So there's a copy of this, and this is the Bangles' second album, Different Light. And I played this last night, and really excellent album. I love their cover version of the Big Star tune, September Girls. Really great. So, and this was immaculate. Red CBS. Once I'd scraped the hair off it, it was really, really nice. So that one. I almost think free records, whatever they are the best. So will you ask, who was the goth? What do you mean, Sean? Who was the goth? Who was the goth? We all want to know that now. Bangles. Okay. Next. Now this, a fairly common record. This is Japan and Quiet Life, and but I didn't have the original gatefold version of it. I only had the the non-gatefold version. This one is the gatefold. So it was nice to get that. Hi Dale, was the hair free from the hairdresser? Yeah, well, yes. I mean the records were free, and she didn't mention any kind of surcharge for the hair. So I got the hair free as well, and I made a nice chest wig out of that. Yes, hi Dale, thanks for joining me. If you missed the start of the video, just talking about, hi Rob, how you doing? A 12-inch. Life in Tokyo, originally from the HMV shop. Price have we got on here? £1.99 from the HMV shop. and this would have been back in goodness knows when, early 80s. It's quite a nice label, isn't it? Hansa. This was 1979, actually. I always forget that Japan go back into, well, when did they start? 76, 77, 78? You sort of think of them as being a bit of an 80s band, which they were, I guess. Yes, George, yes, he will be getting his hair cut a bit sooner than than usual. I must admit, I've been tempted to go back there. First of all, to offer them some cash for the records, because they were substantially better than I thought they were going to be. And also to get the bag from them, because you never know, that bag could end up being given to somebody else. I have no idea what's in the second bag. Dale, you've just posted a video of what I got after digging through an old guy's 600 LPs and 600 singles. And what I've shown so far already trumps that. All right, well, good. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. There's much more good stuff to come. This stuff is all fairly mundane, really. But as you said, there's 2 or 3 items that you will go, bloody hell, you know. This one, don't know anything about this. Not a band I know. I've heard of them, but I don't know their music. This is Palm of My Hands by the Pale Fountains. And this one comes, it's on Virgin. 45 RPM, it's from 1983. Any info on the Pale Fountains, anybody? It's a name I definitely recognise, but I can't quite place them. I can't quite think what their music involves, but I've not spun that one yet, but I will be doing so. So there we go. That's that one. Now this next one. It's interesting, but I'm probably not going to keep it because I must admit I didn't really like it. It was a band that I'd heard of. This is Modern English with a bit of a scrawl there. This is on 4AD, and the album is called. It's in a really annoying typeface that you can't read. I hate that. When bands put an album title in a stupid typeface, you can't read it. 4AD, really nice label. Look at that. It's called Mesh and Lace. And there's the label. And I listened to it, and let me show you the picture of the band. There they are. And it's very, very of its time. It's post-punk, but you get the sense that they are punks rather than post-punks. They can't really play very well. They don't have the necessary originality, or it's not angular enough. It sounds like they're just fairly bad musicians trying to do something interesting, trying to be Magazine or trying to be Wire or something, but they haven't got anything like the intensity of Wire. Just the drumming, it's flappy. It was disappointing because when I saw it, I just thought, wow, 4AD, that could be a great record, but it wasn't. And even the cover's a bit dodgy, really. It's got a kind of strange cover design, doesn't seem to say much. So, high POV music. Modern English, not one of the best bands on 4AD. Yeah, I must admit, I was quite disappointed. So that one will probably, I don't know if it's worth anything because it's got the screw up there. So I might just take it down to Bernardo's, and some post-punk collector may want it. I mean, if anybody's watching and they actually want this record for posterity, let me know and I'll post it on. Headley, Pale Fountains was Mick Head, who would record as Shack. Ah, right. Shack and the Strands. Yeah. Didn't I think Steve Psych in the Valley has shown stuff by Shack and the Strands, hasn't he? They're one of those classic kind of mojo type bands, aren't they? Always reading about, bands like the Magnetic Fields and Shack and the Strands. You just never see their stuff around. That's the problem. There's a strange light effect on my face here because I've got this lamp on. That's better, isn't it? Don't look quite so orange. Right, a couple of staples now. You can. You find these in charity shops, but a nice copy of Reproduction by the Human League. This is a great album. I'll be sending that on to somebody, and they know who they are. Or was it this one I'm sending? Travelogue. by the Human League. Pacific Street is a fantastic album. Was that the Pale Fountains? Anyway, Human League. Don't need to linger. Now, this next one, I was really pleased to get it because it's a band that I've been wanting to get into collecting. Well, in fact, I have been collecting them just incredibly slowly because I find their records very slowly. I picked up a reissue of their second album a while ago, and I think I showed it on a video. This one is one I've been looking for, and I often see it about the place, and it's always battered and not in a very good condition. This is not much better in terms of condition. So this is the Mott album by Mott the Hoople, and it's a pretty dodgy. There's a kind of rip there. It's not had a lot of TLC as far as the cover is concerned. The actual record though is fine. It cleaned up nice. The hair came off, and it sounded terrific actually. So this is 1973. It's your bog standard single eye CBS, and it came with the proper lyric sheet, so that was good. So yeah, Mott the Hoople, not bad at all, for free. I mean, the cover is really knackered. I'm going to get some glue. Yeah, the babies on the cover of that album are really, I just don't think that you could get away with it nowadays, Martin. Dale, you have the Mick Head and the Strands reissue. Psych Folk Indie. Yeah, that chimes with the very narrow amount of information I've got about them. Anyway, there's Mott. Right, so we're now getting into, I think there's 3 records now, which everybody here will probably agree are really nice things to have been given in a bag of free records. So the first one is a band that I'm not that into, but if I had to own any of their records on vinyl, it would be this one, because I do have it on CD and I do really like it, and it is Depeche Mode, Violator. And this is one of the ones, when I stopped on the street corner and I started to go through the bag, when I saw this in the bag, that was when I kind of properly realised, yeah, this is a good bag of records. So this is the one that's got Enjoy the Silence on it, I think, which is my favourite Depeche Mode song. It's in beautiful condition. It was particularly hairy, this one. You lucky duck. This is Sean. I'll tell you, Sean, this does not happen to me. I'm not the sort of person to whom this happens. I mean, I've been on the VC for 5 years, 6 years. There's been a couple of occasions similar to this in that time, but it's not something that happens every day. Dale, Violator is your favourite by them? Quite hard to find. Yeah, absolutely, it is. Yeah, I've got a copy of Speak and Spell on vinyl, which is, well, it was reasonably common in charity shops a couple of years ago. But this one, yeah, not so easy to find. Hi, John. Yeah. I know you're a fan of Violator. We've talked about it. And it's just in such beautiful condition. I mean, whoever would have thought that was just coated in grime and hair? I mean, it's come up like a marvel. So yeah, I was really, really chuffed to get that. And like I said, Depeche Mode is a band that I've always kind of seen them. You know how some people think of bands like Queen as being a greatest hits band, and bands like that. And I've always bracketed them in that way. Depeche Mode. I've got the hit CD. I enjoy the hits. I'll play them in the car, but they're not a band that I've ever really properly connected to their albums. But this one is the one that I would own if I could own any, and now I do. So that was good. James, accept it. It's payback time. That sounds a bit ominous. Bloody hell. Steve, hi Steve. I'm not a huge Depeche Mode fan, but that would be the one album I would want. Yeah. Very clean. Yeah, Steve, if you missed the first part of the video, I was just talking about the fact that these records were all covered in hair when I got them, because they were a gift from my hairdresser, from my son's hairdresser's mother, and they were covered in hair. So I'm quite pleased that I've managed to buff them up a little bit. Right, so next one. Now this one, it's a shame in a way. Most of the records in this bag were really good, but I've got most of them. Now this next one, I've got it already, but it is an upgrade for me because my one is not in the best condition. My one comes from Oxfam from back in probably the 90s, and it's okay, but it's not wonderful. So I now have an upgrade of it. And John, I think you Stable. Please wait while we try connecting. I'm going to keep talking. I don't know if I'm still actually on or not. I'll just keep talking through that. John, I know you showed this album a while back. You picked it up at a record fair, I think. This was about maybe 3 or 4 days before I was given this copy. So yeah, just I feel like a very lucky boy. But by the same token, it would have been nice if it was a New Order album, which I didn't actually already have. You know, there's just no pleasing some people, is there? Nice in Don't listen to Rob Steve. You don't need Queen's Greatest Hits. You need all the albums. Well, at least up until Hot Space. There we go. So yeah, New Order, Power, Corruption and Lies. The sleeve is slightly split there now. I can see I'm going to have to be careful with that. No idea why the woman owned these records. When I asked her what sort of music she was into, she said, I'm into kind of Motown and Northern Soul. Now, her son was not into music. This is the guy that was cutting my son's hair. He wasn't a music fan. He didn't seem to have any idea about these records. So I honestly don't know why she had them upstairs. But she was fairly adamant that she didn't want any money for them. It's that thing often people just don't seem to realize what they've got. It's almost as if they just... they just view these things as being detritus, basically. It's just like a bag of stuff, in the upstairs room somewhere that needs getting rid of. But it's fortunate for people like us when people have that kind of strange, myopic kind of, I don't know, this kind of lack of awareness that these things are actually, well, they are collector's items, aren't they? And this is the pride of the bunch. This is the last one I'll show before we get onto the Bowies. And this is one that was great for me because this band, I have all their albums on vinyl, original versions, apart from this one. This was the only one I was missing. So I did feel incredibly fortunate. So here we go. This is the Smiths. Again, in beautiful condition. Now, I think this is their debut album, isn't it? Produced by John Porter. It's got my favourite Smith song on it, which is Reel Around the Fountain, featuring Paul Carrack on keyboards. And Suffer Little Children at the end, one of the most powerful songs of its era, really. Just amazing. I have spoken about the Smiths on my channel before, the fact that I'm not the biggest fan of Morrissey. And that's always slightly soured my relationship with the Smiths. But of course, I do totally acknowledge their importance, and I do enjoy some of their music. It's just that I'm not kind of like as into it as some people are. I know that there are some people out there who are just passionately into the Smiths and think they're the greatest band ever. I've never subscribed to that, but I'm definitely not somebody who thinks the Smiths are crap. So, Dale, it's your least favourite Smiths, but still worth having, right? Okay, fair enough. I need to revisit the Smiths albums. I've not listened to them. They're not in the best condition. I bought all of them in a job lot from Oxfam probably about 15 years ago, and I should get them in the spin cleaner because at the time I didn't have a spin cleaner and I was cleaning them just with the kind of rag and the spit kind of approach to cleaning records. So perhaps I should get them in the cleaner and try them again. I've got a reissue of Meat is Murder and an original too. So yeah. I'm not without Smith's records. Right, so that's it, apart from the David Bowie records. So if you're not a fan of Bowie or you're not interested in Bowie, now is the time to tune out. There's a pile of Bowie stuff here, which was in the bag. And some of them I've already got, but different versions. And there are a few that I don't have. The ones I don't have are the compilations. The ones I do have, I've not worked out yet whether the edition I've got is better than the edition in this pile. There's green labels, black labels, orange labels, different issues. Most of my Bowie records are 80s represses, so it could well be that some of these ones are going to end up replacing my 80s reissues. But anyway, so there was a copy of this in the pile, and this is Another Face, originally £3.49 from whichever shop it came from originally. And I guess this is a compilation of his early stuff. It's on yellow Decca. Andy Williams or Chet Atkins in the dollar bins in the UK. Certainly Andy Williams. I'd say probably yes to Chet Atkins as well, but perhaps not as common as Andy Williams. Andy Williams is very, very common. The most common people are, Jim Reeves. But yeah, Andy Williams definitely is a pretty common thing to find. So yeah, that was that. So it's got stuff on it. It's got Rubber Band, The London Boys, There Was a Happy Land, Maid of Bond Street, When I Live My Dream, The Laughing Gnome. I don't have the first David Bowie album. It's the only one of his classic run that I don't have. So it's quite nice to get that. I've no idea how much you'd pay for this. Sean, you might be able to tell me. Cheers, Sean. You got to go just as the Bowie comes up. My goodness, that's bad timing. Next one. So this is a double album, I think. This is Images. And again, I guess this is a compilation of early stuff. Yeah, so Rubber Band, Maid of Bond Street is on here, but there's more tracks. This one's on DRAM. And label, anything interesting? DRAM, it's not a label I see a great deal of. So there we go. Home taping is killing music. So who these records belong to, I honestly don't know. I suspect it was the mother's husband. If she's divorced or her husband has passed on, that seems to be the most likely explanation, doesn't it, when you think about it? Okay, so another comp. So I've never owned this one. This is David Bowie Rare. Don't know too much about this. Seems to be a combination of maybe alternative takes of songs that are on records. So you've got Panic in Detroit on here, which is maybe a single edit or a remix or something. But then there's other tracks which I think are maybe B-sides or things that were not on albums. Perhaps live versions of things. What label is this one on? I don't do labels usually now in Vinyl Finds videos, but something about doing a live stream just makes me want to show all the labels. So there we go, there's that one, and you get the lyric sheet. Okay. Next, we've got Changes One Bowie. Again, not a record I've ever actually owned, just an orange RCA, this one. And yeah, just a very standard track list on that, Space Oddity, etc., etc. Okay, so now we hit the run of original 1970s albums now. Like I said, I haven't checked to see how these differ from my, from the ones I've got in my collection already, so I'll have to work it out. This was the worst sounding one of the bunch. I may end up getting rid of this because the sound quality was quite disappointing, but we had a copy of this. Money Sold the World. And I'll give you a quick little look at the labels for these, because if anybody's got any info on these pressings and whether these are likely to be better or worse than the 80s represses I've got, then you can let me know. This is a strange label. This is a kind of pale brown RCA label. Because usually with Bowie, you get the black, you get the orange, and you get the green. But this is a pale brown one. LSP 4816 is the code on that. I've not checked all the dead wax, and I've not been onto Discogs. Bowie is notoriously difficult to track down on Discogs. Trying to work out which pressings you've got. There were so many versions of these records, so many represses, and different versions in different territories. I think he's one of the hardest artists. If you're trying to catalogue your collection, trying to work out what you've got is really difficult. Might be an import, yeah, absolutely. I just don't know. Anyway, so there was that. I need to get some nicer sleeves on these because these are all covered in hair probably. I haven't cleaned the sleeves. Copy of Hunky Dory. Now my copy of Hunky Dory is quite nice already, so I may well end up getting rid of this one. This is on green. This is INTS 5064. So these codes mean nothing to me. I'm not too into that kind of thing. But I know Richard McCook is not fond of the green RCA label. I think it's the green that he doesn't like. So, hi Graham, nice to hear from you. How are you doing? I was going to drop you a line actually over the weekend, and then I just totally forgot. But good to hear from you. Just showing just a big bunch of records I was given free, Graham. So if you just joined us, you'll have to go back and get the background to it. It's a bit of a convoluted story. Next one, Aladdin Sane. Now this is a record that I've had 3 copies of in my life. I originally had an 80s, or I've still got it, an 80s repress of it on non-gatefold. Then I found the gatefold version in a charity warehouse a few years back, which is my main plain copy. And now I've got this one. Now this one is on green again, INTS 5067. So it's not going to be anything desirable. These are just standard copies. It may even be the same version I've got already, but still, never look a gift horse in the mouth. Really nice copy of Ziggy. And this one is got the original lyric sheet with pics, and this one is orange, so Richard will approve of this one. Orange. Yeah, Graham, not just Bowie. Backtrack and have a look. I've hit the Bowie section, but there's some good stuff that's already been shown. Not like massively collectible things, but just things that you just think, bloody hell, this does not happen every day. So this one, I've got the reissue that came out a few years back, the one that's on gold vinyl. I've not done a sound comparison, but obviously it's nice to have an original. Used to have an original of it years ago, but it wasn't in very good condition, so I got rid of it. So there's that. Next, we have a version of Heroes, and this has got a little snip at the top there. And my version of it does not come with this. This is a new thing to me. I've never seen this before. This inner, and this is on black RCA Victor. And again, it's come up beautifully. AFL 12522. This means nothing to me. So yeah, Heroes, and it's a matte finish. My 80s version, pretty sure it's an 80. It's a glossy finish to it, whereas this one is matte. So Robert Fifthing, Green UK is like the Best Buy series in the US. Yeah, I think it's a budget thing, isn't it? A mathematical equation for luck, timing, and asking. Yeah. Now, this one I was pleased to find. This is a record that I've had an 80s reissue of it, non-gatefold version, for years and years. And it's the only version of it that I've ever had. So it was amazing to be given a gatefold version of Lodger in really beautiful condition. So here we have the gatefold. And I listened to this on headphones, and I really enjoyed it. About 3 or 4 weeks ago, I featured this on one of the Sunday evening videos, and I talked about it, and I was a little bit kind of like, yeah, it's all right. It's a kind of 6 out of 10 album. But listening to it again, it's often the case with me. I'll play something on vinyl, a really nice copy that's cleaned up and sounds really good, and I'll come away from it with a vastly inflated view of the record, and this absolutely happened on that occasion. I just thought, wow, that is a much better album than I've given it credit for. So yeah, I know POV music, Lodger's never chimes with me as much. Need to revisit it. It's one that took me years and years to get into. I would listen to it, and it was like I would take nothing away from it. The tunes wouldn't stick in my head. Whereas Heroes and Low, they just seem to kind of percolate straight into the subconscious, where Lodger is a more difficult listen. But anyway, so I've got that version of it now to enjoy.